Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I am your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of an infinity credit chip. We love microtransactions, said no one ever. Vice Admiral Eric is here, and he accidentally stuck his thumb in Walton's rock.
It wasn't my thumb.
Not my thumb. Oh, Jesus.
Icky.
All right. Yeah. Captain Hawk is here, and he's definitely doesn't have a gamer tag because, you know, hologram.
Digital.
And Captain MC is here, very up on the fact that this one was called Into Infinity, much like Into Darkness, and had a darker, more like Kelvinversy vibe to it. I feel like you got to be thinking. It even
had the font.
Letter, the font, everything. Yep. Welcome back, guys. How we doing?
Surviving.
I mean,
yeah.
The world is burning. And we're here.
The world is burning.
Which explains why we're talking about Black Mirror.
Yeah.
We did have nice weather today, so.
Yeah.
So did we. Hey.
Yeah.
I had good pizza and beer today. So.
Oh, that makes
that always makes an okay day.
I had a good burrito, so yeah. It's a good food day.
Good food all around. I made a brisket.
I had a burrito bowl.
Mm-hmm. Eating well in the neighborhood. Fireworks. Let's go.
I can't believe that still happens.
I turned them off and I double checked that they were off, and they are off.
Lies.
But they are not. It's lies.
Your computer's alive.
It's alive.
Black Mirror.
Exactly. This week, Black Mirror is back with its 7th season, and with it, a feature-length sequel to USS Callister titled USS Callister Into Infinity. We're here to deep dive and review another trippy ride to the Black Mirror, so hold on to your butts, as Sam Jackson would say. Before that, Eric, we need to thank our amazing Patreon Collective members at the Ready Room level and above.
Thank you to Simon Steger, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santo, Kung Hui, Takako Nagumo, Fernando Nogales, SMK, Colin Davidson, Shatterhand 2049, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Maggie Light, Wayne Ritz, Scone of Arc, Sean J. Howard, Mahalani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Joshua Lewis, Tara Poland, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Aaron W., Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, Sedano 317, Hookahar, 3 Fries Short, Cat Tip, Tripping the Read Alert over a Pineapple, Sean Manning, Asher at the Bat, Chris Waterman, RHCB, Martin Simpson, Norman Butchwald, David Prime Hildebrand, Taryn J. Robinson, Rob Greiner, Eric the Red, Trouble, Jamie Roberts, Honeyberry, Paul Taylor Pitt, Brett Jones, Michelle P., Margin Walker 82, Melissa Bartel, Jesse Robbins, Kim and Chris Fenoglio.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you to our amazing patrons, and always a big thank you to our Badmirals, our amazing EPs. You keep our infinity dots on our foreheads.
Keep our credits.
And our credit chips, stocked. Simon Sager, Chris Waterman, Tara Pohl, and Brett Jones, Dana, Matt Harker, and Jim McMahon. Woot woot. Thank you. By the way, we're ending the pod right now because Matt's going to see Mary J. Blige in Philly, and we're just all going to go join him. So peace out. See you. As much as I'd like to do that, I think those tickets are probably. Let's get to some quick news. The debut episode of Giraffe and Amy Imhoff's new Strange New Pod spinoff, Alternative Space, is live right now for our Patreon Collective members at the Ready Room level and above. Ready Room through Cerritos Lounge, you get the audio, and 10 Forward and Badmirals, you get video. And that is the only way to see the video of this show. The video won't be released to the public. It'll be an audio-only podcast. So if you've thought about upgrading, now is the time. If you want to know who they're talking to, just look to Deep Space Nine. Look out the window and you'll see Major Kira herself, the Nah Visitor. It is a great interview. I had the pleasure of editing it. Check it out if you haven't listened to it already. Out for the public this Wednesday. Also coming up for our patrons, brand new episode of Strange New Adventures next week. It is the final couple of scenes of Act 2. of Incursion Point, and we're actually gonna probably finish up our first adventure tomorrow, which is really exciting. Some cool shit happening in Strange New Adventures aboard. Actually, I should say on board the USS Challenger and on Cressida. Or Cressida. It's been a lot of fun playing with our patrons on that. And then we also just like, hey, love some feedback. If you're listening to those, like, let us know what you think. Like, do you like listening to actual play, like D&D, TTRPG type games? We want to get some feedback and all that jazz. Quick no word on Trek Long Island schedule. We have it. We just don't know if we could tell you it yet. We'd love to. MC is not joining us for very good reasons. Do not hang your head low. It is not a good time to be coming to this country. And if you don't know, there's actually like an advisory, like, to not come here. So hard decision, but the right one. So we will find a way for everybody to see MC somewhere. So
we still love our American friends.
Come to Canada.
I mean, yeah.
Come to Fan Expo.
Yeah, this Fan Expo. Hopefully they have some Star Trek stuff.
They have Smallville there this year.
So random. So random. Not Superman or the Fantastic Four.
I mean, Smallville.
They've
is
got Superman and Lois.
Well,
actually,
I know, but that's a great show. Sorry, as I drink my vodka cranberry. Strange New Worlds. We have some news that could be good for everybody. The season 3 premiere is going to be set to take place at the Tribeca Film Festival on Saturday, June 14th. Hoping that means that the Paramount Plus premiere is the following Thursday. That would kind of line up. So stay tuned. When we have details, you'll have details. And then finally, head over to heroesandvillains.com. Now is a really good time, not necessarily stock up on your Star Trek stuff because the people have been buying it, so the stock's low, but get all your Marvel shit because it's awesome. One, like, Marvel's in a great spot right now. Daredevil just wrapped up.
Yep.
Got Fantastic Four coming. You got Thunderbolts coming. You got Avengers Doomsday not too far away. Good time to stock up on all your favorite superheroes. Use our code 20% off. That's not our code. Use our code STRANGE to get 20% off your first order. And that's about it for news. Does anybody else have anything? I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. MC, you're doing something, right?
Oh, Sunday?
Yeah. Are you allowed to talk about that yet?
Well, I have two things.
I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah. Two things. I'm going to be, as usual, on Trexperts Quiz on Saturday. So please watch that because it should be a very, very fun show. I'm having so much fun coming up with a very hard quiz. And Sunday, I'm going to say 4:00. I'm going to do happy hour for the patrons.
That's right. That's right. I got to put that up for everybody. 4:00 patrons. MC is going to have fun with you.
Easter happy hour.
Get away from your family and get wasted. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Cool. Good shit. Let's move this thing right along and get to the Strange New Loop. So, near the end of Into Infinity, Robert Daly tells Nanette he was kind of testing her, right? Based on old Space Fleet episodes. My question is, had you been writing this episode of Black Mirror, would you have gone a different direction, like something more classic Trek instead of keeping with the trippy Black Mirror theme? Or would you have gone even trippier and gone like really Black Mirror and done a crazier story than they had? Chat, let us know. And you guys, obviously, what you got?
I actually think that this is a very good Star Trek thing, like the having to make the choice, but then, being able to, figure out like the middle thing. But then, having the Black Mirror thing of it not, Robert Daly still being Robert fucking Daly. And I'll bring this up here because I think that this is like the Black Mirror thing that you don't actually think about. But, the whole issue was that, she was going to be copied and pasted rather than cut and pasted.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't actually fix that. So all of them died in Infinity. They just also got ported into her brain.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Just
episode
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
prequel.
They
Into
are coming
Beyond.
back. Do you think they will come back with another one?
Charlie Brooker said that he wants to, but he has to just figure out a way to
Yeah.
incorporate
Yeah.
it. Like he doesn't want to just do it for the sake of doing
That's
it,
fair.
but he likes the universe that they've built for it. So
Personally speaking, I think the ending was kind of pitch perfect. I mean, the build up to it was fantastic. You know, finding out that like their only way out or into like that private server they were talking about was through, you know, Robert Daly. Finding out he was still in the program, you know, that he had been there since the beginning. Almost made him like a kind of like a V'ger-like entity.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But the way they handled it was perfect. You know, the way he kind of unknowingly kind of drew your sympathy in a bit until you realize, oh God, yes, he's still Robert Daly.
Yeah.
So honestly, I couldn't think of a better ending than that.
I think the moral choice was great. It felt like Star Trek. So like it felt like classic Star Trek, like doing that.
It's very Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that.
No, that's fine. Giraffe says yes, different direction, 100%. I wanted more character development in Infinity, seeing them trying something else before that. And I really enjoyed this, but I would say that the way that USS Callister stopped, with it being like, it felt very the end of Star Trek 09, right? Like Net's captain, she's like, they're going off on adventures. And then this one, it's just like, it's sad, and it kind of just doesn't stop being sad until like the very end. It's just like they're fighting for their fucking lives the entire time. And it's just like, I agree. Character development would have been good. I would have just liked to seen a Star Trek adventure within Black Mirror. Like you could still do the trippy stuff like with the outside world and find a way to put it in, but like it just would have been fun, like to get some, I don't know, like there's a couple of moments where this feels very TOS, but I would have liked it to go even more, you know, like I like this idea of them like coming across just like shitty gamers, right? And gamers being like equally shitty to them. But I think they could have also incorporated like more Trek into that, if that makes any sense.
I get it. I mean, like there was they literally had an entire universe to explore. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, but that's not
exactly.
the point of what Charlie does, right?
No.
Yeah, that is true.
Like it would have been cool to have a Star Trek, but I feel like that would be more of a Star Trek thing to do. Like it wouldn't be a Black Mirror thing to do.
Right. And I don't know, like, go ahead, MC.
I just want to throw something out there to get more Star Trek into it. You know, these characters have all obviously are familiar with the game more so than Walton on the outside world. But the actual, like, the everyday living of it, a lot of it was in, like, the space fleet world. So I would think that almost, like, they should be reacting more like people from Space Fleet, but then also I want to throw in Siege of AR-558. That's how they should be acting more. Which I think they almost were there, but not quite.
But this game is not based on like, so the Space Fleet was a mod on Infinity, right? That's what the first season was about. That's why everything was stripped away and it didn't have that 60s aesthetic. This is supposed to be more like Destiny and Warframe.
Right.
Like that's where they're basing this more on, especially with the fucking battle passes, which I'm sure we'll get into later.
Yeah, I just like seeing them go from being like a crew to like mercenaries was just like a little jarring.
They went Killjoys.
Yeah, I never watched Killjoys. Eric's like, God.
Remember how it took me years to get you
to watch The Expanse?
There we go. Now you get Killjoys.
Giraffe also brought a good point. Also, they just killed somebody, and it's a footnote. Like,
Sorry, go on.
I mean, like the himbo with the,
No, I think Giraffe is talking about Michaela Cole's character.
Yeah, Michaela Cole's character.
Oh, right.
They just kind of like mention it in passing. It's like,
which I know was done because of skeleton conflicts, but they did do it poorly.
Yeah,
I actually think that she was such a integral part of the
Mhm.
first episode, I really felt her absence. I think the dynamic was off.
I felt that. Yeah, it just like it didn't feel the same as USS Callister one. And I'm not saying I didn't enjoy this because I did. I was glued to my seat the entire time, but I think I was expecting something a little bit different. Excuse me. I still have a little bit of that flu cough.
I do wonder because they had written her in originally, right, before they couldn't use her. So I wonder how much had to change because of that scheduling.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And like, I don't know. And I could also just be like, I haven't watched any other Black Mirror by this. So like, I probably, my opinion's probably a little bit like,
Watch.
you know, I will. I will.
Watch the national anthem.
Yeah.
You got
I want to
started
watch them.
that
I want to watch. Oh, that's where okay. That's where I'm going to start. That works.
It's the first episode of the first season.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You'll never look at pork again.
Oh, I mean, let's get into our full review of USS Callister Into Infinity. Our order tonight will go Hawk, Eric, MC, followed by myself. If anybody wants to know about how that order worked, I decided to throw it into a random generator, and that's what I got. So don't blame me. Blame the generator. Let's go to Act
Blame
1.
computers.
Blame the computer.
That's very Black Mirror. I'm just going to throw that up, especially this season.
Yeah.
Oh.
Act 1. So Into Infinity begins with Nanette, who has been having nightmares, by the way, about her experience with Daly. She says, don't listen to you guys. And Nate on a mission to rob some Infinity players of their credits. Desperation for the Callister crew was set in since microtransaction, things that like we fucking hate as gamers, have begun to just overrun Infinity, from having to pay for hyper jump passage, shields, weapons, just about like everything you could possibly imagine. The robbery hits a snag and Nanette is injured in the boob. I have to say that because they're like, how do you tape up a boob? I thought that was a really funny line.
Well, it did miss the nipple, so.
It did miss the nipple. With the two players reporting that they were robbed by players with no gamer tags. What were they called? Like bottom holes or bottom feeders or
bottom holes.
Bottom holes.
I
It was
couldn't say
bottom holes.
assholes.
Yeah, that's right. Even worse, the guys that they robbed were broke, and it seems it just like wasn't worth the mission at all. Morale's just like at an all-time low aboard the ship. What did we think about this kind of like, I just kind of talked about in the Stranger Loop, less than optimistic opening to USS Callister Dose?
Oh man. So yeah, it is in fitting with the Black Mirror universe and that. I mean, like the first Callister, you know, like was such a dark episode, but ended on this note of such, you know, hope. You know,
Hope.
it was almost like, you know, it was almost kind of a perfect Star Trek ending with the first one. They were into this, you know, actually able to go into the game and be able to, you know, live and explore in that. You know, it's like what we were talking about would have been like super fun, like, you know, an entire series of episodes could have been made out of that. But since this is the first time they've ever done a sequel to any of the episodes of Black Mirror, and that we dive right into a Black Mirror episode. We find them like just struggling to survive because, like, you know, while they're free to roam in that, they still have to live by the constructs of the video game, which is run by, you know, a greedy, you know, asshole corporate CEO guy, Walton. Look, Eric's right. You know, this is a lot like Killjoys, and that, you know, it's like basically like, or Firefly for that matter, and that, you know, bouncing across the verse, and that, you know, it's like job after job, just trying to stay ahead of everybody else. It's, you know, it's very fittingly Black Mirror. You know, I know we were hoping for something more Star Trek-y in that, but yeah. This is where we are.
Eric?
I would love to explain, but you haven't bought the battle pass, and I just can't. I can't talk about it at this point. I mean, I do like that we're going into the more gaming side of this. Like a lot of the first one was Star Trek, and I don't think this is Star Trek based. I think this is more of a video game based episode. And just based on what we've seen this season, is this the bleakest opening? No, not really. No. That makes you want to watch it, Julian. I can see. I do think this sets up the tone of the episode, right? Because they're totally on the run. And like doesn't Into Darkness sort of start running too?
It does.
Right?
Like, well, like it's a fun, like the opening to Into Darkness is fun, right?
It's a
Because
fun
they're
version
on the planet,
Mhm.
and then shit hits the fan like after the credits roll with Pike and then Harrison, and it gets sad and dark into darkness very quickly. So
Which is also why they did that whole play into this part of the Abrams verse. I thought it was interesting. I like that there were just regular people that are just hanging out and talking about Wrexham, which I thought was hilarious.
dude, the Wrexham reference like got me.
Mhm.
I was like, I watch Wrexham.
As someone who's played Destiny, who's played Call of Duty, like this feels like when you're in a game and you're like, well, fuck, these people are pay to play people. They're just gonna get ahead, or I can't get the nicest things at the beginning right now, and we're just sort of struggling. This really felt like Warframe at the beginning. Like they couldn't jump away because of not having enough credits or whatnot. Like I don't like you can't do anything if you don't pay. If you can't buy things. Like this feels like how, like I can't imagine having to be in one of these games in real life and having to deal with that shit.
Yeah. MC?
Well, I think that the whole them having to deal with all of these other gamers was really set up in the end of the first episode, because you had that cameo from Aaron Paul where he's like,
That's right.
Why did you take the hail? You can't trade anything.
Yeah, so that they kind of like foreshadowed this whole them against all of the players in the game. The microtransaction thing, while it is very much a commentary on games in the real world, which is very much a Black Mirror thing to do, I really wish that they had actually done a little bit more with it. For one, I mean, okay, so they weren't able to do their hyper jump or whatever it's called, but the ship looked really nice. I kind of wish that maybe the ship had looked a little more in shambles. Yeah. Like just given them if they're going to get to this point of desperation where they're robbing people, which granted nobody's getting hurt in
real life.
No.
In real life, they're just taking their money. But I really wish that we had seen a little bit more of this desperation where the ship is actively falling apart rather than looking exactly like it did at the end of the last episode, even still with a full bar.
Gotta have a full bar though, man.
I'm trying to think of what like the Enterprise looked like when it was even like in 2009. It wasn't really falling apart even when it was falling apart. It still looked pretty on the bridge.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. But the microtransactions, I was kind of, I mean, granted, it does seem like a very Walton thing to do. But part of me, because I'm always writing the backstory in my head, kind of wondering if the jump in microtransactions might have come from Daly no longer being there.
I would assume that that's part of it. Daly probably was like more like, no, like we need to respect the gamer a little bit more. But listen, I'm gonna go on a rant. One, like I said earlier, I wish it was a little bit more optimistic, but it was a cool, like, different side to see. That being said, like this is such a commentary on things that are going on even right now. Like Eric said to me 2 weeks ago, Verdansk is back. And if you don't know Verdansk was the first ever Call of Duty Warzone map. And it literally got like me, Eric, and a few of our friends like through the pandemic. We used to play like an ungodly amount of hours of that game. Too many. But like anything, as the years went on through the pandemic and forward, like Call of Duty just kept on becoming more pay to play. Buy this awesome skin and you'll get all these awesome mods for your guns. Just buy this gun and you'll be able to like fucking like wreck people. And it got to a point where in 2024, I just finally was like, I'm deleting this. I've given this game like so much money and I still feel like I can't compete. And It did feel a little bit like Nanette, like no matter like what I do and try, it's like I'm just getting like either cheated against or I don't have the necessary funds to keep buying like the next coolest thing. And then
I mean, going off that, like her exhaustion of having to do this.
yeah,
I know Hawk and you both played Destiny. Like they're like the last couple DLCs, it's just like you can't do anything. It's exhausting having to do this shit
right,
over and over and over and for nothing.
I did final shape, so I could say I've literally been there from beta day 1 to the final like literally the final shape. Like I did it, I'm done. I deleted Destiny 2. It's my Destiny days are over, and that's fine. But like I think Call of Duty, even though it's not a sci-fi game, sometimes it is a great example of this because I downloaded Call of Duty because I thought that I wanted that nostalgia of Verdansk. And you know what? I played like 4 times and the same shit happened. Like the game feels better, like no doubt, but I kept on just getting killed by better people because they're paying money or they're buying boosts. They have the time like sitting on their couch to just like level up every gun to be like God mode. And it's like, I'm the net. I can't keep up with that. Like I'm the crew. Like we can't keep up with that. And you know what? I went back to Fortnite because it's a lot more fun. So yeah, like this is such a commentary. And even though Hawk, you said like maybe it's because Daly's not there anymore.
That was me.
That was.
I'm sorry, MC. I think it's also just the natural evolution of fucking games, and it's unfortunate, right? Like I think even if Daly was still alive, it would have happened. And as you saw in Daly's, we're getting ahead, but that's okay. As you saw in Daly's office, their stocks were huge, right? Like people could bitch and moan, and we do all the time, like bitch and moan about microtransactions. But you know what? I still spend $20 to get a cool skin in Fortnite. You know what? Like
people try to justify it these days and that by saying most of your entertainment budget isn't going to outside sources, you know, like restaurants or travel or that, you know, if you want people who want to stay in or, you know,
right.
It's a pandemic mentality in that. So your entertainment dollars go towards digital, and it's, you know, they make it out like that's cool, but. And
obviously the big difference for them, this isn't entertainment for them. This is literally life or death playing against people who it is entertainment for. So it's like a much different scenario, but I did really like and kept getting frustrated by the commentary on the state of the video game industry.
I mean, it's also apt that we're talking about this today since Sony just announced their PSN price hike today.
Yeah.
Which is
absurd. Absurd. Let's go back into the real world because we actually kind of just talked about this. So let's talk about it anyway. Financially, despite gamers hating microtransactions, as I just ranted about, Infinity is super profitable, like massively profitable. Nanette is still an employee, but all is not well with James Walton, who gets grilled about the cloning tech that Robert Daly had by this New York Times reporter. He said he can't prove it, but he knows it existed. And how it actually connects to these rogue players, you know, robbing people in Infinity, all while Real World Nanette listens in on the entire convo, which was ballsy. I liked it. What do we think about this? And were we expecting the sequel to follow up on the events of USS Callister this much?
I was really not expecting it. I was expecting the USS Callister events to follow up. I didn't expect the real world like to play such a pivotal role in it, and that, especially like this New York Times reporter, and that is like about to expose them in that, like, you know, like mentioning the tech. Like, I don't know why I didn't clue into it sooner in that regarding Walton and that, but like when he mentioned that tech, he got super freaked out and like basically shut down that whole thing. We find out later why, of course. But yeah, I didn't realize that the real world would play such a big role in this. You know, I was naive. I expected like the further adventures of the USS Callister.
Same. Yeah.
For me, sorry, were you done, Hawk?
I'm all done. You go ahead.
For me, the 3D cloning part of the first episode was one of the more really like catching things for me, especially as someone who does 3D printing and all that crap. So I love that they moved forward with that part in this episode. I didn't think that Walton would have been as connected with the 3D cloning process as he was that we find out later. So I really like that how shocked he was at this point because I didn't think he was, about it.
Even aware of it.
Yeah, aware of it.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that they wanted to. This is the parts that I want to see from a Black Mirror episode, though, right? Being a Black Mirror fan.
Nice. MC?
It doesn't surprise me that they followed up on the real world stuff. First of all, I think in the trailer you actually saw the two Nanettes in a scene together.
I did not.
So.
I was an Eric for this and did not watch
I didn't watch it
anything before.
Yeah, I always watch this kind of stuff. And just the fact that they had left things so open where it's like, okay, so Nanette was there the night Daly died. That might be something that needs to be
Addressed.
picked up on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when it came to the cloning tech, I was kind of surprised by the way they handled it. Not so much in terms of the episode, because it really worked well for the episode, but just thinking of the wider Black Mirror verse, which I know they don't always, they say that not all of the episodes, connect together, but certainly what happened with these guys does feel very much like the cookie technology that has turned up. So the fact that they said explicitly that this is illegal technology, and I know that later on that the cookies do get, I don't know if they get outlawed, but they at least have rights groups come up around them. So the fact that it is this very underground technology did really kind of surprise me, but not everything is connected together, and I think that is something that Black Mirror fans, including me, have to get used to.
It's weird because this season they used the little nub thing in 3 episodes, 3 separate episodes, and they all turned on the same. They all sort of did the same thing, so it's weird. It's sort of alternate.
Is it the same technology, Eric? It is. It's got to be, right?
I feel and there are symbols on technology that you see in this episode, I think, and one of the other ones this season, and you're like, they're. It feels like different universes. There's
yeah.
MC, you'll appreciate it. You saw all of the second episode?
Yes.
Yeah. So the end result of that.
Yeah.
So that sort of feels like what this is there's different.
I mean,
right?
that's very true. And actually, I'm just thinking about it going through the seasons. I don't think that they've actually done anything with cookies since the Black Museum episode, which is several. That's, I think, was
3?
season 3. Or, yeah. That was a long time ago. So
It was season 4.
Okay.
The same season as USS Callister.
Oh, that was. See, that makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, a little bit. Giraffe says that I find it interesting that the cloning tech exists and people are so loosey-goosey with their DNA. It's very Severance. I don't know anything about Severance, but I mean, I agree that, don't leave your shit
it
around.
was banned in this, right?
Yeah, that the very fact that there's probably not a lot of the tech that actually remains in that, and to have one is super secret.
Didn't they say there was 1 of 4 left around?
I feel like it was very obscure tech too, because it didn't. I believe Walton said that it never really he got in on the ground floor, but it never really got past the development
I think
phase
because of the ethical
moral implications. Yeah.
And the fact that he did mention that there were several cases of human rights abuse and that associated with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was specifically made for the porn industry, so I mean, there's a crime word involved with all of that.
Yeah. Just briefly, I just want to say, Hawkeye, I was a little bit naive to this as well. I thought it was going to just be more like the continuing voyages of USS Callister. That being said, super interesting, super creepy, super trippy. Loved it. It was cool seeing Nanette also. It was fun, and we're about to talk about this. It was fun watching Nanette. Fun, I don't know if this is the right word, but it was really trippy and thrilling to watch Nanette put all the pieces together. Back in Infinity, banged up and almost out of credits, Nanette finds a score that can keep Callister afloat comfortably for at least like a little bit more. Once again, though, it just doesn't go well. Their target, Pixie, while new to the game, is a total fucking badass.
That's a pay to play winner right there.
That is a pay to play winner right there. Laying like she had like trip mines around, and that gets caught in one and messes up her leg, her like the poster, her helmet's all messed up, and Pixie begins to hunt both her and Nate down. Meanwhile, stir crazy Carl aboard the Callister sits in the chair and accidentally does a party invite, and this Metallica fan with this big fucking ship shows up. They say exit Sandman instead of enter Sandman, and they get into a nasty firefight that they probably cannot win. What did we think about the giant clusterfuck, both on the ground or on the ground in space? Fuck.
To be fair, if they were actually Metallica fans, even if they had said
You wouldn't say enter Sandman.
You did not say Enter Sandman as your favorite song. No.
What would you say, Hawk?
Probably Blackened. That one was a great song. Yeah.
No, it's all about Enter Sandman.
What's the song? I'm bad with song titles. It's not the name of the song isn't Unforgiven.
Unforgiven 2?
It is. Yeah. Or Unforgiven 2.
There's Unforgiven and Unforgiven 2.
Oh no, the Unforgiven 1. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did they do a third one too? I'm pretty sure they did.
They probably did. I don't
we know Metallica.
Look, it's for me, it's everything before the Black Album. As far as the giant clusterfuck, yeah, this was basically this section will really raise the stakes in that, as far as like the danger that they're in. Like anonymity and silence, are really their only defense against 30 million subscribers and that who think they're just another player in that, and the fact that they've ripped off a lot of people and that means that they're already being hunted, running into the Pixie player, it's like, she was on her own, but they really assessed that situation wrongly in that they thought, because she's a noob and that there would be an easy pickings in that, except she was really trying to kill them and she was really good at it too.
Well, again, Eric's right though. I think it is like a pay to play situation, right? She's got the big fucking pink gun. She's got the decked out pink gear. She spent some dime on that stuff.
Oh yeah. And this is, like I said, like I mentioned before, that this is somebody who, for their entertainment dollar in that, this is the way they choose to spend it.
Yeah.
But it really put this whole act, the whole scene really put an emphasis on the danger that they're in and that. I thought Nanette, her leg had gotten it
was bad.
I thought it was broken after she went over that trip mine.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes the jeopardy that they're in and how they really have no other avenue.
Yeah.
So the right answer is For Whom the Bells Toll. That
that's a good song.
Time marches on.
But also I can't talk about this because this is a level 5 in the battle pass talk, and you're still at level 1, which reminds me
I'm gonna boot you.
Which reminds me of this pink player, because this feels like someone who pays for the advanced pass, right? That gets to skip fucking 20 levels.
It's the black cell in Call of Duty, man.
Right? It's something like that. This was the type of infuriating player that you see at the beginning of a season that has everything, and you're just starting off and you're like, fuck, well, there it is. I did appreciate the amount of pink that she had, because as someone who bought all the neon packs just so I can pew in different shiny lasers, I liked it. There was also something interesting as a character for her, as a player, because she would come back instantaneously, and I feel like all the other players took a moment
breather.
or so. So this also feels like she is one of those people that just drop dime so that they can play faster. And then, dude, it was infuriating to watch this as someone who plays those types of games. What was the other question? Blah, blah, blah.
Just the giant clusterfuck on the ground. Oh yeah, and in space as well.
The space one also made me laugh because it reminds me of all the group chats that we've had. Either in Call of Duty or in Destiny, where someone's just fucking up everything, or this person just brought in someone. There was one raid that me and Hawk were doing, where these people just came in to make fun of one of our people and then just fucked around the whole time and then left.
Was
And
this
we were
in
like,
Destiny?
this was in Destiny in a raid where we were doing a raid together. And then they were like, yeah, we were just fucking around with them. We didn't want to actually do the raid. I'm like, we've spent hours doing this. Hours.
I remember.
I would have reported the shit out of them.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
those people got unfriended and blocked. But yeah, this felt so apt for a video game player, and it was quite infuriating.
I like that you mentioned about like how like players and that they can automatically like respawn in this, whereas like Nanette and the crew are like constrained to the physical rules of where they are.
They die.
Right?
Yeah.
They die.
Yeah.
They die, they get injured, that's it. It's also they can't, they can only run as fast as they can run,
MC?
So I would first like to give my answer on the Metallica question. Mine is Master of Puppets.
Oh yeah, that's a good song.
It's a great choice.
But in terms of everything that's going on with this episode, I feel like the issue with Pixie, it's such this, double-edged sword, because they're going after Pixie because she's got the credits, but she's got the credits to be able to combat them. And I think in all of this talk about her being able to like respawn really quickly, that's because with all of the microtransactions in this game, every single one of those lives is more money that she's putting in. And I think like the other dude, with the bottom holes or whatever, the whole reason why he didn't go back in right away is because he couldn't fucking afford it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's yelling.
Oh, he did
He's
just get
got his
robbed.
mom yelling at him. Right?
He has to wait that respawn timer.
Yeah.
And I love the look of Pixie.
Yes.
It was
I know.
such a good look, contrasted with the real person, because you could very much feel like this is the Mary Sue self-insert version of her, because they do have like the similar style, but it's just more so, and it's just it was a very nice aesthetic to have in, and all of the pink is.
I love that gun.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that
And
gun.
the gun is freaking great.
Yep.
And you can really feel the desperation in Nanette in this, when she's she's broken, but she's just insistent on getting it. I was really sure that Nate was going to get killed.
I was kind of thinking. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and that it was going to completely break her. One thing I have to say about the whole Carl thing, I kind of wish that they had actually maybe called back to Carl being Khan in the first episode, because he was the Khan character, right? I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that they should have mentioned that as part of him being frustrated with not having anything to do. He's the only one who doesn't have a place on the ship.
Yeah.
Because he was not a part of the crew.
Yeah.
So,
maybe he was John Harrison in this version.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna throw something at you. I felt that was a missed opportunity to kind of keep the continuity from the last one.
Yeah.
Can I add something here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there was a missed opportunity with this pink player, because with all the the drama online with people picking on female gamers, they could have made this not a person that was a pay-to-play player. It could have just been a really good player. But
That is true.
But
I don't know.
Her being a
Go ahead.
noob and then having all of this advanced stuff made it feel like that. Like she should have just been like a really good player. Like I was hoping for that more.
See, I think it was a bit of both. I think she was a pay-to-play player who happened
to be good.
happened to be really fucking good. And I actually, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm wrong, but when I was watching her, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. They're giving like empowerment to women, female players. Because, dude, there's some really good fucking female players like in Call of Duty,
100%.
in everything, man. And there's so much sexist bullshit in gaming all the fucking time. Oh, well, you have like such a great KD, like you must be cheating. Like, it's like, no, guess what? They're just fucking better than you. And that's at least how I thought. So I actually really like this. It's like, oh shit, you're getting owned. Yeah, she's paying for all this shit, but part of the reason she keeps coming back is because she's having fun and she's really fucking good. Also, at this point in the episode, I also was wondering what the writers were thinking, if this is also a commentary on players in the United Kingdom. Did you notice everybody that they were attacking was English?
Well, that's because of Black Mirror, I believe. It is.
Is it?
Very. Black Mirror is British.
Yeah.
Watch National Anthem.
Yeah.
Watch it tonight. Do you just want to know what you think of it?
Yeah. Maggie Light brought up a great point in the chat saying maybe she bought someone else's player account, which is definitely an issue in gaming too. People like going on the black market and buying people's
I've
accounts.
never heard of this. Not in the news recently.
I have heard of that. I don't like to think of that because I do like to think of her being a somewhat decent player. Mm-hmm. I do have to say, compared to the other guys, in the real world, she seems a lot less pathetic.
Oh yeah,
which I appreciate. So
yeah, she seems definitely like she's living her own life and not living with his mom or her mom. They keep telling me not. Draft keeps telling me not to watch that episode.
Don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Let's move on to Act 2. Back in the real world, Nanette puts the pieces together. Right, about the no tag players and offers to help Walton get them out of the game. And by putting the pieces together, starts to realize who they are. So after watching the crash logs of the game, she discovers what she basically already knew. The no tags are the clones created by Daly, which she decides to tell Walton, like straight up. It's Carl and it's me and others as well. And yeah, tells Walton this, I think, despite some warning signs that Walton's a fucking creep too.
You mean everything about him?
Everything about him. Back at Infinity, real life mirrors the game a bit, right? As Nanette and the crew are looking for a way out and to be safe from having to rob people and getting shot out and the risk of death, right? They want to go to the core and not copy. I put copy in the chat in the outline, but cut and paste themselves into a private server where they'd be by themselves, but they'd be safe. But they need to find the reanimated digital version of Walton to help them. What do we think about Nanette in the real world putting the pieces together while Nanette in Callister is also trying to put the pieces together to get them safe, and how that kind of mirrored each other a bit, Hawk?
Yeah, this was. I mean, first off, it was like, you don't trust Walton in that. That poor guy, what was his name? Kadir?
Yeah.
Kadir, yeah.
He just left a memo on his screen.
Gotta love the sticky note, right? I know. Fucking quit. Yeah.
Because he couldn't handle his bullshit anymore. Rightly so. But Nanette, I mean, she went into it with the best intentions in that, right? Learning what she knew, that these no taggers now were the digital copies that Daly had made and tortured and traumatized, and that she wanted to help. But there aren't a lot of ways that she could. It's like the fact that she wanted to help was one thing in that, but how? It's like you've got digital copies of them wandering through an infinite, procedurally generated gaming universe, and that being hunted by 30 million subscribers. How do you even get them out? It's an inconceivable task, but she does want to help. And, it's the whole thing about strange bedfellows and that, she knows Walton's an asshole, knows it was a creep and that, but at the same time, really he's her only access into this.
Well, right. And he figures out very quickly too, that she's basically responsible for Daly's death as well, even though she didn't know that she was going there to kill him.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I saw the Callister. The finer points of it. Was she even She wasn't even responsible.
Really?
For
No.
Not at all. I don't think at all.
No.
Well, here's what happened in the original Callister. She comes in while he's in the game. She gets all of the DNA out of the fridge, and she switches the nub. I believe the nub so that he can't get out of the game.
Does she?
No. She gets it so that he can't get back into the game.
Oh,
right. She's the delaying factor.
Okay. Right. Okay.
He has an extra one, and he puts it on and then gets inside.
Yeah.
The reason why he dies is because that
Pocket
when it uploaded,
His brain gets
update,
stuck in
his brain gets stuck in his own computer that gets deleted because it's a rogue code. So
Yeah.
his consciousness just dies in there. He
Okay,
can't
so
leave.
not responsible. But yeah.
But she thinks she is.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the fact that even if she wasn't, the fact that like he knows that she was in the apartment and that like and that she had broken in, it places her in jeopardy in that. So it's like again, the strange bedfellows metaphor applies. But yeah, and the search for Walton in the digital. That was classic. I don't know if we talk about that now or in
That's
the next
next.
part.
It's next.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Eric.
I do love seeing the two Nanettes working and them being two different Nanettes.
Mhm.
Like the old Nanette that's sort of meek and sort of
Timid.
yeah. She's like mad props to Kristen Milioti because she played these two perfectly. And really without Kabir there, she couldn't get that access. So she had to go to Walton. It's sort of that shitty thing. And, it makes sense that he quit so that plot point would move on later. The fact that she told him all of that stuff was strange.
It's a lot of information to
Yeah.
give freely, right?
Yeah, I thought she would
Yeah.
have gone in and tried to, get them out or at least talk to them or something without having to do that. I don't think she needed to bring him in, but it was, I guess, a point to move forward. And then seeing the more capable Nanette in Infinity was awesome. When they started talking about going into a private server, I was like, oh, this is sort of like the end of the last episode. I was sort of bummed about it. So I'm glad that, did not become that. But
Yeah.
at this point, it felt like a repeat. And I was like, oh, that's sort of strange for Black Mirror to do.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
the case, right?
Nope.
MC.
So I wouldn't say capable is the right word to describe Nanette in the game. I would say assertive. Both Nanettes are incredibly capable. The only difference is the belief in herself. And we did not mention this at the beginning of the episode, but when we first see the real world in Nanette, when she's basically mirroring everything that happened to Daly in the USS Callister episode with not being able to get in, tripping over Carl's bag, all of this stuff is very specifically set up so that she has kind of like taken over Daly's place as the awkward person in the office. And that's all because of her guilt and carrying all of this stuff with her over Daly's death, whether people are going to find out about it, and just feeling guilty about, whether or not she was the one who caused it. Meanwhile, Nanette in the game has been forced to take this leadership position and is in charge of everyone and feels responsible for them. And especially with, I believe, Lowry was Kayla Cole's character's name, her dying, and it seemed like they were fairly close. So even though both of the Nanettes are very analytical, being able to figure all of these things out, being able to break into the security of the Callister office's security so she can watch what's going on with Walton, she's not able to do it on her own. So you have both of these Nanettes needing to go to their versions of Walton for different reasons.
Yeah.
But it's very different on very different levels. The Nanette in the real world kind of lays out everything to Walton because she doesn't know how to actually do anything by herself. So she needs to actually have somebody supporting her. Meanwhile, the Nanette in the game is just, I need the information from him, but that's kind of it. And also the Walton in the game is just a much nicer guy.
He is, right?
But then again, like different experiences, right? For Nanette in the real world, Nanette in the game world, Walton in the real world versus Walton in the game world.
Let's talk about Walton in the game world, right? Because during that rescue mission, which was very Castaway, real world Nanette and Walton go into the game and they kind of try to ambush, but not so ambush. They're clones. And while Nanette tells Captain Nanette that she wants to try and help, even though Nanette's a bit like apprehensive and like on her guard, I think probably believes her a little bit. back on board Callister when they beam up, Walton tries to kill everybody, which Nanette did not expect to happen. And he does kill Carl, or Khan, or not Khan, whatever you want to call him. Walton,
John Harrison works.
John Harrison. Yeah. Walton is knocked out of the game, but the damage is obviously done with Carl dying and Walton kind of knowing everything that's going on. Nanette walks out on Infinity, and while being chased by Walton, this is back in the real world, is hit by a car and placed in a deep coma, which like was my big like, what the fuck just happened moment of the episode. What do we think about this whole sequence? It was a lot.
It's so much to process. And first up, like, you know, the whole comedic thing about finding Walton and that, you know, it's like who'd been missing for what? They didn't realize he had been like, you know, reset in the
reanimated,
game. Yeah, reset in the game and that. But it's been something like what, a year or that? Maybe
something like that, yeah.
In that time, he decided to go. He made the decision to go feral, right? You know, with like, you know, the screaming and the, you know, the grunting at her and that, and then like, oh my god, it's great to see you again.
You came for me.
I know that was funny. But yeah, I mean, this is the Walton we see in the real world. Like, you know, like he just wanted to delete them and that they were a problem. They were a drain on him, and they were going to cost him subscribers and money, you know. So he just looked at them as a problem. He just wanted to go in and delete them and that. Versus the Walton, like, you know, that you know, went through that shared experience with, and that being Daly's prisoners and that, and Daly's torture victims. Oh god, this was a lot of information to process. The car thing, like, you know, the car crash or the car hitting Nanette, and that just came out of nowhere. I didn't see that. I knew like that it was going to be bad, you know, like Walton begging her and that, chasing her out, the, you know, offering her the world and that, just to try and keep his secrets. It was great. The car crash, oh my god. And then it's like he was getting everything he wanted. It was so frustrating.
It is, right? Because the bad guy's winning, and it's like a moment that he definitely just like don't expect to happen, and it happens. It's like, oh fuck. Yeah. Eric?
What was the rescue scene with the, I want to say clone Nanette, I guess. Clone Nanette, yeah.
I call Captain Nanette.
Captain.
I'll go with Captain. I like that better.
Yeah.
I thought that was wonderful. I like that she carries around the big pink gun too. Like, that's hers, and that's amazing. The Castaway references in this were just wonderful, and the grunting. Like, I feel like if you're off on your own for 6 months by yourself, like, yeah, I assume it was like 6 months or more. Going down to that level of you know, feralness without having to talk to someone for such a long time. I mean, do you remember that?
But he abandoned language altogether.
He did. Well, I mean, he could have also been hallucinating. He could have thought he was hallucinating until she actually started.
Who knows what he's seen on that planet? Yeah. Also, that like we didn't see.
Like, that penis monster that he was eating at the beginning of this scene.
Oh god!
Like, it was ridiculous.
Why not put that thing over some fire for a little bit? You know.
I mean, does he know how to make real fire?
I think he had. I think
that might have been his first meal in weeks. You know.
Yeah.
The joke about the whole, obviously humorous. I loved when real world Nanette and Walton showed up, because they had those like old sci-fi outfits, but they were also super bare, so they looked like new players. So I thought that was really clever and design wise. The going back to where are we going? How far are we going here?
The killing Carl on
the chaos. The chaos on the ship was obviously super. Like, it was super expected. I don't know what Carl was thinking, just running at him with nothing and just running.
I don't either.
He didn't do anything.
No.
But Captain Nanette being a badass space warrior was awesome. And getting rid of. I love that Walton, like real world Walton, does not know enough that he can get back into the game. Like that. Like,
such a fucking idiot, right?
He's those CEOs that are just there for the business part and don't care about the product underneath.
I correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but I got the strong impression that Walton is a little bit of a caricature of Ubisoft's CEO, who's like, players love microtransactions.
Players don't
Games
buy
don't
the game.
belong to you. Yeah.
As someone who it might be associated with that company, I can't. I'm not going to say anything.
Sorry,
but it does have some like Phil Spector-y like vibes. Like it's all the like a lot of the video game companies, at least the CEOs that are just like, yeah, this is the next big thing, and we don't. Yeah, I don't know. It just that his character is very frustrating. When he runs out with Nanette and she leaves, like real world Nanette, I fully thought he was gonna push her into traffic. Like I saw the cars going behind, and I was like, he's gonna get desperate and kill her. So the fact that she actually is the one that walks out there, and it just happens by accident, was super jarring. Super jarring.
Yeah.
Her being placed in St. Juniper's hospital as well was a great callback to San Junipero. So I like another connection. This is an episode, Julian, that you would love. And that that I'm saying like this is just it's a beautiful episode. And I think that's it. Right? That was it.
Yeah. MC?
Okay. Well, first of all, like this is MC always trying to work out logistics again. So when a player respawns, they respawn on an entirely new planet. Is that what I'm understanding?
That was specific for Walton because of like the way they left the Daly's world and into the actual game world. It created like almost like a paradox of Walton, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to understand like the whole like new planet thing. Was that for like if you're a new player entering the game?
It's just because he was a glitch from a different system.
Okay.
So because of that, he just he should have spawned with them in the on the ship, but because it ripped all of the custom coding, he also got ripped off and just got placed on something new.
Have to admit, only watched the episode once. Maybe should have done it. I couldn't join. I can't join the watch-alongs on Wednesday. That's my Dungeons and Dragons time.
I mean, that's fair.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, the other part of this, first of all, I have a weird crush on Jimmy Simpson. So this was doing some weird things.
Jimmy Simpson's our Dreadnought in Prodigy.
I know.
He's also Liam McPoyle in It's Always Sunny. So.
Yeah.
But in this, he was a weird feral guy. The whole Rocky joke.
The Rock joke was
I mean, I guess, you know, I'll be the odd man out on this. I didn't care for it.
It's such a basic joke. It was such
that's really the thing. It's like I've heard this joke a million times before, and I think better of Black Mirror.
I laughed harder at the "don't drop him on his face" than I did at the hole.
MC,
yeah, I kind of wish they'd just done that. Yeah.
MC, you can think better of Black Mirror. You just can't think better of men.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I personally think that they should have just kept it to like him treating, you know, don't drop him on his face. You know, really treating him like a person like that. I think would have been fine. When we get Nanette and Walton the real world versions of them coming in, kind of by the time I started seeing Walton like eyeing the weaponry, I was starting to figure that's like, oh, Walton knows more than he's saying. Because even though he had made mention of you kill you and I'll kill me, when it started to become real that he wanted to like kill all of these people, it started to like the wheels started turning in my head that it was more than just the wanting to get this, basically what he sees as rogue code out of the game. And so I was wondering if, you know, he knew more about the technology than we knew. And Carl jumping in front of the thing. Again, that makes sense. That makes sense to me because of what we know of Carl. He is a dumb musclehead in the real world, and he is the one character in the crew who has not been allowed to have any character development from who he was in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
what wouldn't you do for your family?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Just shut up.
When we get Nanette, real world Nanette fighting with Walton and getting hit by a car, that was such a Black Mirror thing. Black Mirror has a thing about people walking out into traffic and getting hit by cars.
Yep.
I was still shocked by it. It's always jarring to me whenever Black Mirror has somebody just get fucking mowed down by a car. Even though when I think of going back over it, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of fucking traffic accidents. People need to be more careful where they walk.
She was walking backwards towards the road.
She
I
was like the girl.
man.
Come on. That's the only thing I really want to touch on. It's like all of this happens, and then I feel like something was going to happen with Nanette, whether like it was Walton that did something, but I didn't expect it to just be an accident, right? Like it was just so out of absolutely nowhere that it hit her like mid sentence, and like, oh fuck. It was a wild scene. I think I just went like, oh fuck, while we were watching it last night in the chat, and yeah, no, I think so. If there's Star Wars fans out there, the rumored, it's been out there for a while, Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie was just officially announced at Celebration. So it's been in the news for a bit though. But
I'll
cool.
believe it when it comes out.
Oh, no,
Star
I mean
Wars-
no, Star Wars. Most of the projects they make come out. Marvel's the one that like can't like.
Where's Rogue Squadron, my friend?
Well, Rogue Squadron, they were really transparent with. Patty Jenkins was attached to the film, and then she had to leave because it wasn't getting up off the ground. So they had to reschedule it, and then they said they were going to cancel it, but it came back around, and it's back on track. I think it's in production, actually.
And I really liked Benny Offenweiss's Star Wars movies.
Yeah, but he got fired, didn't he? Didn't he? I think he got
Well,
fired.
first
I
of
don't
all,
know.
Benny Offenweiss are two people. They're the
Yeah.
guys
Oh.
who did Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So that's right. Well, no, they Kathleen Kennedy just straight up fired them
Yeah.
after Game
Yeah,
of Thrones
well-
season 8.
There's
Well,
also
I'm
the
just
Taika movie,
saying,
right?
There's been a lot of Star Wars movies that were announced that have
I think
just never.
Marvel's more guilty of this, in my opinion. But anyway, Ryan Gosling was on stage in Japan, so it is 100%.
Nice.
Anyway, back to Black Mirror and USS Callister. What did we think about the revelation? Right. First off, just the whole backstory between Daly and Walton. That what we've been talking about all day. Walton's just a CEO who buys people's ideas and makes money off of them. But with Daly's consent, Walton clones him and basically made him a godlike being who's constantly growing and evolving infinity from within the game, right? What do we think about that whole like backstory and revelation, Hawk?
I guess that I don't know why I didn't see it sooner. That he was the one who gave Daly that technology. Like as much of a psychopath as Daly turned out to be in that, Walton, was just an ambitious, greedy prick, who unleashed Walton must have heard, known that this was illegal tech. He was looking for a fast way to get production, on this game done within a cost-efficient time frame. And just didn't give a damn about the results. The fact that, it's like Daly, it's like you could sort of, with his mentality, the fact that he allowed this to happen, it fueled that was the spark for him, right? It's like, he was someone who was so used to living inside a fictitious world that, to be offered something like this, to be able to digitally clone others and that, and, I don't know if it always was that way for him in that. I think it's something that evolved to it, but the fact that Walton was the one who introduced him to that technology,
Yeah.
why didn't we see it sooner?
Eric?
I love this flashback sequence,
Mhm.
and I love that Infinity Walton's the one telling the story, because I don't think the real world one would have had as much regret.
He would have had a regret, and he probably would have been less truthful
and
about it. Right?
obviously that's apparent because he tries to kill everyone.
Mhm.
I did not expect him to be the one who gave Daly the cloning technology. I don't know why. I never thought of it. But
Great twist.
Yeah, it's a great twist. But Walton being one of those people that just buys companies and technologies and then, exploits it. If this isn't a fucking like commentary on Elon Musk, like I don't know what it like that it hit me so hard in the face. I was just like, it made me hate him even more.
Mhm.
And the fact that he wanted to clone someone to exploit them for not child labor, but that's very apparent, for labor, is just monstrous, right?
Yeah.
And to make that person be alone and even daily, like Infinity Dailies, like I don't know how long it's been, maybe 500 years. Could you imagine being there stuck alone by yourself, building this thing that you don't even get to see for 500 years in solitude? Like, I'm not surprised that he went crazier than he was. And the questions on how much Walton corrupts Daly as a person from this point forward, it's heartbreaking, because you see this kid and he looks like a kid. Like the de-aging on this part looked fantastic. Like, just to hear him be like, I just want this to be a place that people can explore, and then Walton's like, this is a place we can exploit people for. Subscriptions. We need fucking 50 planets before we launch. You have 4? No, 50. And he was the one that kept on pushing him. Oh, and then pushed him to clone himself. Fuck. That's heartbreaking and disturbing.
Yeah. Damn. I couldn't have said it better myself. Christ. MC.
So I mean, obviously, Walton has been just a mountain of red flags up until now, but I believe that the scene where Nanette is talking to him about when she was there on, was it Christmas, was the update?
Yep.
Really shows Walton's colors, because while he is freaked out about the fact that his son's DNA was there,
Mhm.
he wasn't horrified nearly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, really seemed to me like he knew kind of exactly what was going on. And the whole thing about Daly cloning himself, I don't know if this makes me a sociopath or not, but the whole thing of only cloning him once really speaks to me to how bad of a tech person Walton is. Because if he knew anything about technology, and if he wasn't just filled with fucking hubris, he should have cloned him like at least 5 times, considering he is the entire engine of the game.
So the reason why they only did it once, and he talks about it, is because if they try and erase this clone, it'll just delete everything. Like,
Yes, tied
But-
into the universe, right?
yeah,
But I mean, like, but that's the thing. I feel like
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, if you had 5, there would be backups.
if you have 5 of them and you network them together so that if one of them fails, that the whole system wouldn't drop. But I think that speaks to Walton not being a tech guy, that he does not think about that kind of stuff. And it does speak to me having something wrong with me, where I'm thinking, well, if you cloned him once, maybe you should have cloned him a few more times. So your entire system.
That's wrong with you. It's the whole conversation that we had when Hawk did Measure of a Man. And, why not have 1,000 datas to do the jobs of everybody else, and Starfleet doing that later with Mars, and, having, basically non-sentient Sung androids building the Romulan rescue fleet, right? Like they succeeded at the thing that they wanted to do. It's not, I don't think it makes you a sociopath. I think it's,
I'm surprised
it
Daly
just is
didn't.
what it is.
I'm surprised Daly didn't think of that. He would have thought of redundancy, right?
Yeah.
He's a programmer.
Well, and I think also, and this might show how a good person I am and how bad both of them are. Daly was fucking brilliant. If Daly wanted to, I'm sure he could have figured out a way to put his brain into the engine without it being sentient or sapient. I can't remember what's the difference between sentient or sapient, but make it an engine instead of being like the full person.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Daly doesn't care because that's not him anymore.
Right.
And Walton didn't care to begin with because why would he have cared? Now, the one thing I did find very interesting about this flashback is I had gotten the impression from the first episode that they were friends growing up, and I don't know where
It kind of seemed like that, right? Partners and that. Maybe they went to school together, but like
I thought it was a Facebook thing like that.
Yeah. Which makes it kind of interesting to have him basically seduce Daly into working for him, but did change something a little bit for me. So I don't know.
Fair. Moving on into Act 3. So with no other option, Nanette and the crew, they set course for Daly at Infinity's core. And once there, Nanette transports down and finds Daly in like the perfect recreation of his garage, right? That like Walton first found him in, even with chocolate milk, right? And he's there just crafting the world of Infinity. And such an interesting choice here. Nanette decides, again, this is where like Captain Nanette and Nanette are definitely a bit of the same person. She decides to go the full truth angle, which I don't know is the right move. But she does it and tells Daly everything. And if you were watching this, this wasn't going to end well. With Daly using his godlike powers to close her mouth once again, like instead of the whole face, but still like reminiscent of Callister 1. But even before this, the hint of right of like copying her once again to have his like a plaything, right? It's like all the warning signs are there that even though he thinks he's, a good guy, he's not. He's pretty much just as bad as Walton.
If you say that, you're not.
Yeah, right.
Good guys don't have to say that.
No, they don't. So there's this whole like Walton's trying not to let her get her gun. There's this whole fight, and is finally able to kill the digital Daly with that dagger that he talked to Walton about from Space Fleet. What do we think about this whole garage sequence?
This was probably one of the best tricks that the episode pulled off in that, because as soon as you heard that the like Daly was at the center of that, that monolithic rotating gyroscope, and that you had like all sorts of thoughts about what a person left alone in a digital universe of would become. We saw what Daly did on a private server, and that the mind just kind of boggles that to think like the godlike presence that we're going to encounter with Robert Daly. It's going to be a final boss. And then to get there and see that his self-conceptualization is still him, the guy living in the garage amongst his little treasure trove of Starfleet's or space fleet stuff.
Did you see the TNG shuttle in there?
Yep.
As well?
It was on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Nice.
But behind the Omni recorder.
Yeah.
Like it was such a trick, like to see him not really kind of progressing on, he's still living, even in this digital world, he's still living in the garage. He's still surrounded by his stuff and that. And you think this was Walton, Walton was obviously the one that set him down that path. It was Walton's cruelty that, made him cruel by extension in that, and how he took out his frustrations with the real world on these digital characters. But then you find out, no. Like, something in him was already broken a long time ago. The fact that, he wanted to create a copy of her to stay there with him forever. It's like already you're thinking, oh God, no, it's already, he can't envision that, like, that there is these people, these creations have rights, that they're living extensions, like just like him. And then it just, like, from there it just snowballs, it's like he takes away her mouth, like you see the godlike powers coming out, throwing her against the wall, and that it was such a great commentary in that, especially on the incel culture that like, video gaming seems to, cultivate. I don't know what more to say about it than that.
That's great points.
Yeah.
Eric?
So when they were talking about cloning Daly and putting him into Infinity, I just assumed that he would just be a clone, not like a super admin, nothing like that. Just someone who was building and programming the whole time.
Yeah.
So honestly, the God powers surprised me, because it looked like he was surprised that he could do that. But to back things up, I love that when they programmed him into Infinity, he was in this little Steve Jobs-esque garage where he's programming. Like, this is him building IBM just by himself in his garage, doing the thing he loves. But who, but who would want to do the same thing for 500 years straight in that one spot where you can't go? Nanette's, her catching the copy and paste quote, I'm just sort of bridging things from what Hawk said, was so good. The look in her eyes when she was like, yeah, I know what you're doing. And then him going full on craze was sort of sad to see, because I was honestly hoping that he was a good guy. Like,
me too.
Like, actually,
I really was.
like this innocent kid who's there, sort of lonely. But the fact that he wasn't, and that's just sort of part of his core. It's very Black Mirror, and it's sort of sad. Him getting his comeuppance with something he loves.
Yeah,
love it.
That was
I love it.
beautiful.
That was great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. MC.
Yeah, we call that Klingon's dagger being put onto the mantelpiece.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you guys were hoping that there was, that he might be a good guy. Meanwhile, me, and maybe this is me being a girl on the internet for the past 42 years,
Yeah,
Totally fair.
I was terrified that that's what they were going to do, because that kind of rot that we saw from Daly, that's not something that's caused by Walton. That's caused by a deep-seated incel heart from Daly himself. I did find it interesting, Eric pointing out that he's working in this Steve Jobs shed for garage, rather than reusing the Callister bridge set, which you would think that Daly would want to do. But then I'm thinking about it. This Daly, I believe Charlie Booker called him the prequel of the Daly that we saw, because obviously he is an earlier version of Daly, but he is still the same guy. And I think that if he had gotten that Nanette clone, suddenly he would be on the bridge of the Infinity, because I think to have the Infinity Bridge to be that Captain Daly, he needs to have somebody to actually do that for. So when he's just stuck on his own, he's just going to be the loser in his garage surrounded by his space fleet stuff. And speaking as someone who's a big loser surrounded by space fleet stuff, I can completely understand that. But, I'm not somebody who's trying to get some rando girl to live with me for the next 500 years.
Yeah.
next 50 is fine.
Yeah.
It's something that's deep inside the character, right? I mean, the real life Robert Daly in that, at some point he could have walked away from the company in that if he felt so mistreated, right? But he allowed himself to be subservient to Walton in that. And this digital copy still refers to Mr. Walton as Mr. Walton. It must be something important if Mr. Walton's somebody here to talk to me in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is part of the whole incel thing. It's like he's going to blame everybody else for it, but it's all him. He's I wouldn't hurt her. That's
I wouldn't do
She
any
wouldn't have
weird
to do
stuff.
anything,
Oh,
unless
unless you wanted to. Yeah, which is like, no, I'm gonna do weird shit to you, even if you don't want to. It's fucking.
I
gross.
mean, honestly, I don't think the thing that he did not say, he wouldn't do that to her because he didn't do that to them in the original version. He made it even weirder by taking away their junk.
Yeah, true.
He gelded all the characters.
He's afraid of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. The biggest thing that during this whole scene was, I think that you see Nanette after she reveals everything to Daly, almost in real time regretting telling Daly everything, and then because she told him everything, having to very, very carefully monitor every word she says, and you could see the fear. Like I think you said, Eric, like Kristen Milotti, like just she was so good in this scene. There's the point where I think that she thinks that she's gotten away with it, and you could just see like this giant vein in her head just like throbbing because she's got like okay, we're almost there. I'm like, we're so close,
I think it's weird because I thought of her doing that was her trying to see if he's like the Daily before. Like, I don't think she regretted it. I think she was trying to pull it out of him to make sure that she was
really?
safe.
Oh, I don't know. I think that she was trying to be safe, like, you know what I mean? Like, and not draw it out of him. I don't know. I got a different impression. And then obviously it happened.
Yeah.
I think she was so good in this scene. Okay. And like you said, killing him with a dagger is just beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful.
Such a good.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't be a sci-fi epic or a video game epic for that matter, or without some version of a space battle, right? This one being very orchestrated by real world Walton, who once again infiltrates Callister and hails every single ship that Callister has ever robbed, leading to an epic space battle that sees Callister juke and jive through the core. Carl being like, just give me shields, right? Instead, I'm going to navigate us through this and make them all crash instead of firing a single shot. Thoughts on the very awesome space battle?
Really great action sequence. The whole thing with the Walton sneaking back onto the ship, and so many classic sci-fi tropes involved with that, right? Excuse me. Sorry, a little bit of a cold.
All
myself.
good.
But it was an intense sequence, and that it really added so much tension in that to the final act, right? Especially like Daly's dead, the kill switch has been initiated, this whole thing's going, kaput very soon. So yeah, really good stuff.
I love the double clone thing, or the two Walton thing. I thought that was classic sci-fi tropey goodness. Him calling all of the people that they had wronged made me laugh and made me so happy, because whenever you see someone that you play against and you're just like, oh, I remember that fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that player tag. I'm gonna at least in like Marvel Snap, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking emote you the fucking hell. But the space battle was great. I thought the special effects were fantastic. I like that.
It all looked really good, right?
Yeah.
I thought Pixie, Pixie, right?
Pixie coming back, yeah.
She had a blast, and I loved how much fun she was having in this sequence. This was also really cool, like Easter eggy battle, because not only was Wrexham Boy there and Pixie, but there are two people from, was it Demon 79? Was that the episode? Yeah, Demon 79 were two people.
Nita and Gap.
Yeah, Nina and Gap were two pilots, as well as Daniel TDM, who's a Minecraft player who was also in the Minecraft movie. So
Oh, funny.
so he was in that too. So it was a neat sequence. I liked it. Cool.
Nice. MC?
I think a very underrated moment of this was Nate being able to pull the thread to figure out that the wrong Walton was there, because they had very subtly put it in, him being dissatisfied with his place as an intern and just, taking the coffee orders, which is something that they had set up from the first episode. And it did get carried through into this and really paid off. Absolutely love that. It was nice that somebody else in the crew got to do something, because that is sadly something that I felt was they dropped the ball on in this. I felt the rest of the crew kind of fell to the wayside.
They did.
Yeah. And while I really would have loved Michaela Cole in this, I kind of worry that she might have fallen into the same trap had she been there. The space battle was absolutely fantastic. I did catch some of the Easter eggs. I know they had actual YouTubers, and they did have references to other Black Mirror episodes. It's always fantastic, and it's nice having the two different, the really quiet scene with Nanette and Daly, but then the epic sci-fi battle. You need to have the two things going on. Like, you need to have Luke Skywalker on the Death Star while the battle is going on. So
it's a great analogy.
Damn it,
Love
coffee guy.
Here for it. You know what? I was dead wrong about something that was going to happen in this episode, and I was a little bit sad that it didn't, because I was so convinced it was going to happen. When Walton was on the phone with what I keep forgetting his name, Kabir, and was like, I have one more question for you. And if you notice, Walton keeps looking down at the Space Fleet comics at the bad guy. I'm like, oh my God, Walton's going to get like the full bad guy outfit. He's asking him how to make the outfit, and he's going to go terrorize the ship. And then he doesn't. He just knocks out himself and pretends to be himself and calls everybody. I'm like, oh, this would have been a cool, like, Star Trek bad guy moment. Like, he's got the suit and everything, and it didn't happen.
But what was worse is that he started writing on that comic, which is probably worth like thousands of dollars.
But both of those things are very Walton. He would never be smart enough to, dress up as the bad guy, and he would not know how much that shit is worth.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Anyway, the space sequence is badass. I loved it. Finally, Into Infinity ends with a valuable lesson. Label your fucking floppy disks if you're still using floppy disks.
I was going to say, what's a floppy disk?
Actually, believe it or not, most commercial airlines still update their software with floppy disks.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
Because it is tried and true, and updating all the planes would be a fucking mess.
So an update is smaller than 4 megs?
Apparently. But most commercial airlines are still using floppy disks to update their, Yep. Pretty wild, right?
It hurts me.
Yeah. So after Nanette kills Daly, a fail-safe kill switch is activated, and Infinity begins to implode on itself. It gets like the 404, everything's been deleted error. A bunch of floppy disks fall on the one that Daly made for Nanette, and after thinking she found the right one, executes the cut and paste command. Nanette wakes up in the hospital in her now not comatose body, in a shit ton of pain, but alive. But it also seems like the Callister crew now lives inside of her head instead of a pocket
Rent-free?
universe. Rent-free. Infinity is completely dead. Its stocks plunge. Walton was arrested after a 3-week manhunt. This is the end of Callister for now, but where do we go from here? Hawk.
Where do we go from here? I have no idea. I mean, first up, big ups to Jimmy Simpson and that, because this last stretch of the thing was, was so well done with his comedic touches, right? Like the cheer he lets out when everything goes down.
He's a great actor. Yeah.
Looking at it, it's like, what does fatal error code 606 mean?
Yeah. It means it's gone, man. It's gone.
And to watch his stocks go down.
Oh, it was wonderful.
But the ending, I don't know. Like, this is where it got a little loosey goosey with the rules and that. Like, I don't know how merging their consciousness of the two Nanettes together brings her back from a coma.
She's not coming back from the coma.
No.
Her consciousness is gone. It's not active.
Yeah, right. It's like real world Nanette is dead, right? And Captain Nanette took over the body. It's like her consciousness is in there now. Like,
I think the thing is she was brain dead, not dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just I don't get like how transferring a consciousness into a person with brain damage.
Black Mirror.
I know.
Suspension of disbelief.
But the fact that
Science fiction. Sorry.
So that she brought the rest of the crew with her inside. They're still in the ship somehow inside her head. It's like, this is what I was trying to the end part. I was really trying to wrap my head around that because how does she? How do you get them out? I mean, it worked for her, but how would it work for them? Like, I don't know. If they do a third episode, I'm really hoping they do. I hope they really put some time into thinking about
it's gonna be a Real Housewives romp. Yeah. It's gotta be.
It's been 8 years since the last one. So
has it been
one sentence? Monkey loves you very much.
Oh.
Know what that means.
Oh, you will.
Watch more Black Mirror.
Just start tonight. Just start.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah. But I did like the ending and just the fact that him being dragged out like William H. Macy and Fargo.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Nice. Eric?
Where do we go from
here?
Thank you. I was
from here. The battle's done and we kind of won, which is really appropriate for this ending, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that. I thought the ending was phenomenal and so Black Mirror. I've listened to so many interviews and and stuff about this episode. So, one, I feel threatened because I don't label my CDs and DVDs, which is terrible. So
you feel called out?
I was like, God damn it, I understand. That's fair. The idea of Nanette waking up in her outside person's body is very Severance, which I think is fun. And when they had talked to Charlie Brooker and Kristen Milioti about where this could go in the future, there is a possibility that real life Nanette is not dead and is just sort of
there's gonna be
there somewhere,
okay.
like not active. So that's a possible going forward. Also, do you really want other people in your head? There's got to be some way for them, like, she won't want that for the rest of her life. Like, could you imagine having people talk to you inside your head all the time? I mean, that could happen.
I mean, they still have to call her physically on the phone to talk to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
which also is weird.
There's a fun quote that Kristen Milioti said is, would you really want people watching you pee every day?
Right.
Like that's gotta wear on you as a person. So where do we go from here? Who knows? I love it. I hope it doesn't take another 8 years to get to it, because even though 8 years has passed from the first episode and everyone looks amazing, 8 years from now is going to be a little bit more on fire. Literal fire.
Yeah. Just real quick, MC, before you go, Draft brought up a great point, which I definitely noticed at the end of the episode. It's going to be about how she dehumanizes the crew in her head because she has the power now. It's all about having power over people that you don't consider as human as you. It already started. If you notice at the end of the episode, she's, she's already starting to ignore them. She kind of hesitantly turns on Real Housewives. She kind of gives I'm working on getting you out of here. It's already starting, and I think it was a really neat, little hint to throw in about where it's possibly going to go. MC.
So it rather than just throwing out the oblique reference, I will, talk directly about it. Since Hawk, Eric, and I have already watched it, but Julian, watch the episode Black Mirror. Not Black Mirror, Black Museum.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that really plays directly into what is going on at the end of this episode with people being inside other people's heads. And
You won't ruin anything by watching it. You can
No,
watch
that's
on
fine.
another
I'm going to
sequence.
end up watching all the damn show.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, as we're talking about this, where this could go, that episode does have quite a bit of this is exactly where this could go.
Yeah.
It's funny, the whole thing with the floppy disks, like the pushing them together and then having this be the result. You can't say that Daly didn't do what he said he was going to do.
Well,
True.
also, I don't think this was the right disc. I think she just picked up a disc that looked like the purple or the blue disc, but this wasn't the blue disc.
I think it was the right disc, and this is
interesting.
exactly
Okay.
what Daly meant. Because the thing is, Daly doesn't care what happens to the Nanette on the outside.
Yep.
That wouldn't have been his Nanette. And I still say that everybody was still left on the inside because they were just copy and paste, not cut and pasted, and they all just blew up inside of Infinity. And it's the whole question. It's the transporter idea of
Is this them?
Is there a quote?
who's the real one and who's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Charlie Brooker, hire me. I come very cheap. I shouldn't say that, except I do.
No, I don't come very cheap. Give me money. Oh,
Any money is a lot for me. And I liked the crew being inside her head. It's very Black Mirror-y. It's surprisingly upbeat. And I did hear in one of the interviews that I read that they had a whole different ending planned.
oh.
Yeah, where originally they were going to get like their own like server thing, and Nanette was going to have to say goodbye to them, and they did do it. They said it was going to be very Wizard of Oz, but then they thought it was too twee for Black Mirror, and you know what? Yeah, it really fucking is.
Yeah.
Let's give some final thoughts on this. MC, we'll go back to you. Final thoughts on Into Infinity.
I thought this was a good episode. I don't think that this is as good as the first one. The first one is just almost impeccable. This one had some really good ideas in it that I think could have been expanded on better, could have been polished up. So basically how I feel about Star Trek Into Darkness.
Fair. Nice. Eric?
I like this from a gamer point of view. I think they could have delved into gamer culture a little bit more. Because nothing really has, at least in Black Mirror, has talked about it too much. This is a good episode. I liked it. I do think the first one is better as well. Sort of like Star Trek 09 Into Darkness. This is not even close to the best episode of this season, though. Like, this season is really good. Or at least
Nice.
the ones I really like. And
What do you think is the best one of this season?
I think Eulogy is the best one of this season.
Okay, I haven't seen
But-
that one yet.
That's the one directly before this. So when I saw it, I was like, that's the Paul Giamatti one that I talked about previously.
Oh, I love Paul Giamatti.
And
It's
he's
so good.
phenomenal in it. I really like Common People as well. I
Nice.
really, really like Common People. But yeah.
Nice. Hawk?
I kind of have to agree. Probably not, definitely not as good as the first USS Callister. And that, like, I'm still stunned by the fact that that was in 2017 because, like, I didn't think it was that long ago. But for the first sequel to like a Black Mirror episode, and that they did a great job. There was a lot of great stuff. I mean, like the first hour of this, I was completely. Like, I think I texted you after the first hour and that just to let you know I hadn't looked at my phone once throughout the entire thing and that because I was so captivated by what was going on. Nonetheless, this was, way superior than Into Darkness, by the way.
Ouch. What is with all the Into Darkness hate? Good Lord.
I didn't like Into
I like Into Darkness.
I'm an Into Darkness
except
sympathizer.
for one big thing.
There was one thing I forgot to say about this episode.
What?
There's the Metallica ship, the can a ship look angry? And I was like, this is like when that fucking dreadnought or whatever in
The Vengeance
comes up, and like that is an angry looking ship, and they had an angry looking ship. Oh yeah.
That's a good call.
That's funny.
And I totally forgot to mention the enemy within and that when with the Walton switch around.
Oh yeah.
Also,
But neither of them would say kill us both, Spock.
also technically, this is the second sequel now because there's a sequel earlier in this season.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's a sequel earlier this season.
Yeah, I really got to rewatch. I got to watch this season. But nonetheless, this was a great ride, no matter what. Maybe it would have worked better as the third episode in the series, but you know what? If it's going to be another 8 years until that, then like I'm happy with just this. This was good.
To be fair, the pandemic did screw up one of the seasons, so
True.
Yeah. For me, this was great. I don't have an opinion one way or the other if it was better than the first. I enjoyed both quite a bit. This has some big oh my god moments, which I really appreciated. I wish it was a little bit more Star Trek, which still is fun. Like I actually forgot to mention, like I think that it was really cool that their armor was kind of Mass Effect-y and the gun was totally Mass Effect.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was fun. And the one thing that it has definitely done is like I just finally have to pull the trigger and like watch Black Mirror because I want to now. I just have to do it. So good job. Good job, Netflix. That is going to do it for this one. No mailbag this week. But do, friends, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. Make sure you find out when we go live. Thumbs up forever, Eric. Thumbs up forever. Oh, man. Next week, we'll be here. We don't know what we're doing yet, but we'll be here. We'll be doing something. It'll be fun. It'll be a podcast. One thing I can tell you that we're working on is we are talking to our good friends over at Open Pike Night for our Strange New World Season 3's Wants and Don't Wants collab episode like we did for Season 2. Check that out. Oh, apparently there was Romulan armor from Prodigy and Picard in the episode too. Oh, that's what it looked like. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's it, folks. We will see you next week for an episode of the pod. Who knows what it'll be? It'll be great. For MC, for Hawk, for Eric, I'm Julian. Live long and prosper. Sarcastic Vulcan, salute Majram, and good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.